Approval can be configured in different ways to force an order through an approval process. The purpose of approval is to force an order to be approved before being released to production. If one item in an order requires approval, the entire order must be approved. Some important things of note about approval are: there are 3 possible levels of approval. A first level approver set in the Routing tab of Approval Setup and Management, which we will look at shortly. A second level approver that we refer to as a Master Approver set in the Multi-Level Approval tab. And a third level approver we refer to as Master Approver 2, set in the Multi-Level Approval tab. After an order has been approved, if a mailing list has been purchased from USA Data, the actual purchase and sending of the purchase list does not take place until after the order has been approved. If real-time credit cards via supported gateway is used on a site, the credit card is not charged until after the order has been approved. On the approval page, some of the options available to the approver are to edit the imprint information of variable items and remove individual line items in an order. Megasites need to have approval configured in a specific way. Please see the Megasites section in the Approval Setup and Management documentation for more information. And please see our documentation for other capabilities, settings, and information about approval. And now let's take a look at the approval feature. To activate and configure the approval feature, expand the Site Settings section in the dashboard. Expand Approval and select Setup. Select the option needed for your storefront in the Activation tab, which we are viewing now. The most commonly used are for all orders and for certain products. If you select for certain products, make sure to designate the particular products under Approval and the Product Filter link, which we'll look at shortly. I'm going to activate approval for all orders on this site. You do not need to click the Apply Changes button now. You can visit one or more of the tabs, make changes, and then click the Apply Changes button. Configuration of how approval is routed is done in the Routing tab. The simplest is Single Approver. The documentation covers the other options here. I'm going to configure this site for a single approver. You may enter more than one email address in the email address field. Separate them by commas, no spaces. However, this creates what we call a race situation, meaning the first person to approve or deny an order wins. You can configure the approval notification email template as needed. This is done in the Email Templates tool in the dashboard. In the Emails tab, you can select which emails you'd like the site to send. Approval emails are sent to the approver. Approved and denied emails are sent to the user to alert them to the status of their order. Additionally, we recommend you enable Use TinyURL, which condenses the URL so it does not wrap and break in the email. The Multi-Level Approval tab is where you specify the Master Approver and Master Approver 2. These fields only accept a single email address. The Options tab, Approval Without Auth, allows the approver to access the approval web page without having to log in when a password is required to enter the site. Auto Approve Self allows an approver to place orders without having to approve them. We strongly recommend that Disable Mass Approval be enabled to ensure the approver inspects each order, especially if you enable Show Info in Profile, which will display a list of orders waiting for approval in the approver's profile on a site using the Profile feature. The Reminders tab can be used to configure reminder emails to be sent if an approver does not approve or deny an order. The Reminders tab is not intuitive. Please use our documentation as a guide to configure this. When done configuring Approval Setup and Management, click the Apply Changes button at the bottom. If you configured approval for certain products in the Activation tab, you need to go to Approval's Product Filter. You must enable the Approval on Certain Products Only checkbox and select the products that require approval, and then click the Apply Changes button to submit. Please see the approval documentation for information about other settings and approval tools.